I've always wanted to know how things work. Maybe it's just curiosity and the need to find answers to the things I don't understand. Or maybe it's something more.
With what I'm learning here, my future is entirely up to me. The job I want might not even exist yet. But here, I'm building a foundation that can take me anywhere.
Applied learning is what empowers our students to push boundaries. We're combining state-of-the-art resources with corporate and industry partnerships. This is what makes the possibilities here endless.
Well, I definitely found my place. MSOE has always been about collaboration and hands-on experiences, even when the hands we're using are actually zeros and ones.
To me, being here isn't just about a degree. It's about helping people, or at least making their lives a little bit easier.
What we teach here, we've got the tools, the support. We're turning imagination into reality.
Hey. You ready?
Yeah.
Hello and good morning, everyone. My name is Erin Miller. With me is Kyle Rodriguez, and we would like to formally welcome you all to the grand opening of the Dwight and Diane Derricks Computational Science Hall. Thank you all for coming out and helping us celebrate this historic day for both MSOE and the community. Together, we'd like to extend a special thank you to Dwight and Diane Derricks for their generosity and for providing us with this state-of-the-art facility and its next generation technologies. Kyle and I are fortunate enough to be part of the inaugural class of computer science students as this new space positions MSOE at the forefront of AI education. For a long time, we've both marveled at how advancements in artificial intelligence have driven great leaps in innovation across a multitude of industries. From devices in the medical field to smart home technology, AI is revolutionizing the way humans view and interact with each other and their environment.
The creation of the new computer science major, in addition to the opening of the new computational science hall, will position MSOE on the leading edge of AI technology, fostering technological growth not only in the Milwaukee area, but the entire region and beyond. With the resources provided in this building, we can collaborate with businesses and organizations and help foster important relationships between students, faculty, and the community. With that said, we want to thank MSOE's leaders, faculty, and staff for helping this vision come to life. We also want to thank the MSOE Board of Regents for their support and dedication to our university. Please welcome Dr. Dan Mosseri, co-founder and executive chairman of Converging Technologies and chairman of the MSOE Board of Regents.
Thank you, Erin and Kyle, for those insightful comments and the introduction. I really look forward to learning a little bit about your experiences this year. It's pretty exciting times. First of all, I want to welcome everybody and thank you all to our distinguished guests for attending this morning. It is certainly my pleasure to be here celebrating such a momentous occasion for our campus and for our university. MSOE has a rich history in innovation that dates back to 1903, when German immigrant Oscar Warworth founded the university, then known as the School of Engineering of Milwaukee. His vision was to create an educational institution dedicated to application-oriented learning with a focus on practical implementation. Innovation goes hand in hand with this approach to education. For our students to make an impact within engineering, in business, and in medicine, it's essential that they are familiar with the latest technology and are prepared to engage in their respective fields. When I studied here more than 40 years ago, MSOE introduced me to the forefront of computing. While I did take the last course that was offered on slide rules, for those of you who even know what a slide rule is, I also had the opportunity to use the first handheld scientific calculator, which was the HP 35. My senior project involved programming on what was then state-of-the-art computers using punch cards and toggle switches. Keep in mind, this was just as Microsoft and Apple were incubating before they would introduce personal computing to the world. Since its founding, MSOE has continually evolved to integrate the latest technologies into its curriculum and to produce leaders that are solving some of society's thorniest problems. Through the innovative coursework and facilities that MSOE provides, graduates go on to thrive at undertaking complex challenges and overcoming formidable objectives. Today, we continue that tradition with the grand opening of the Dwight and Diane Derricks Computational Science Hall. I believe that this day and this building will become one of the most transformational events in the 116-year history of MSOE. And for that, we are forever grateful to Dwight and Diane. Thank you. Dwight is a distinguished MSOE alumnus and his wife Diane with us today. Dwight is a shining example for all MSOE students and alumni. This computational hall will become significant to the lives of many MSOE students, MSOE's corporate partners, and regional businesses for decades to come. The handheld calculator and the punch cards that I once used are today's AI, deep learning, robotics, and cloud computing. These innovations are changing the way we conduct business, how we develop new products, deliver healthcare, commute, and in general, improve the quality of life for others. This hall and the programs held here will provide the application-oriented learning opportunities needed to succeed in these areas. We are fortunate to be working with and supported by Dwight and NVIDIA, both leaders in computing. A degree from MSOE has always yielded an incredible return on investment. In fact, PayScale Incorporated ranked MSOE with the highest average early and mid-career salaries of any college or university in Wisconsin. The Derricks Computational Science Hall will add even more to that value for all MSOE students. It represents a truly groundbreaking approach to learning, and it will create a substantial competitive advantage for MSOE graduates as well as the university as a whole. AI and advanced computing will be incorporated into degree programs across the entire university. It is transforming MSOE into a nationally recognized paragon of education. On behalf of the entire Board of Regents, thank you, Dwight and Diane, for your generosity, your vision, and your commitment to excellence. I'm excited for all of our guests to learn more about this newest addition to our campus. Thank you all once again for being here today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. John Walsh, the 5th president of MSOE, to provide more details about this remarkable facility and program. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Mosseri, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. What a transformative day for our university, for our city, and for our region. As Dan Mosseri said, since 1903, MSOE has used this distinctive education model to prepare students for success, regardless of what direction they choose to go with their career. We started out initially with electrical engineering, and since then our program offerings have expanded greatly. Other types of engineering degrees were added, along with degrees in nursing, in business, user experience, actuarial science, construction management, educational leadership, and last year, computer science, with a focus in artificial intelligence. And yet, through all of that expansion, our steadfast commitment to an application-focused education has remained, and it continues to work so well. Right now, we have a record 328 companies signed up for our fall career fair. And we'll have another career fair in January with even more companies. So I realize this may sound like a gross exaggeration, but we're actually not too far from the point of having as many companies come here to recruit as we have students looking for a job. That is a remarkable, remarkable thing. When I was inaugurated back in April of 2017, one of the promises I made to our community was that this education approach would not change. And indeed, it has been my North Star. But that doesn't mean that we don't adapt and we don't innovate. In fact, we must, because driven by technology, the world is changing so fast, and our graduates must be able to harness and apply that technology. So looking back, like Regent Mosseri did, when I was in college studying engineering, we all had to learn a computer programming language called Fortran. And my guess, I'm seeing heads, some of you learned Fortran as well. It was really the only programming language I ever learned, and I actually continued to write programs in Fortran well throughout my career in both industry and academia. And in fact, even today, I might be able to sit down and crank out a simple program in Fortran. But does anyone think that students graduating today, 30 years from now, will be using the same computational tools that they're using today? My guess is that within 5 years, most of today's tools will be obsolete. That is our new reality. And incidentally, a while back, I was talking to one of our recent software engineering graduates, and I asked him whether he used Fortran. And what was his answer? Of course, what's Fortran? So I talk about feeling my age. About 2 years ago, our university came together to develop a 5-year comprehensive strategic plan. It was a wonderful and rewarding experience, bringing together people from all parts of our community, our faculty, our students, our staff, our regents, our alumni, and our corporate partners. And we named our plan Extraordinary Together, which I think is entirely appropriate considering what we're doing here today. And part of that planning work was to develop a vision for our future. And I admit that I love the vision statement that we came up with. MSOE will set the standard for preparing leaders to solve the diverse technical challenges of the 21st century. That is a bold vision to set the standard. But today, thanks to the incredible generosity of 2 individuals, we are taking a giant and a bold step forward toward reaching that vision. Today, we are formally opening the Dwight and Diane Derricks Computational Science Hall, a modern and beautiful building that will benefit all of our academic programs. And indeed, that's one of the things I like most about this building. It will serve all of our students. This will happen through innovative and flexible classrooms, numerous collaboration and study spaces, a beautiful NVIDIA auditorium, and a powerful NVIDIA supercomputer that will not only serve our students, but also corporations and other organizations around Milwaukee. And of course, state-of-the-art laboratories focused on technologies like cybersecurity, augmented and virtual reality, data analytics, and of course, machine learning and artificial intelligence. Is there any question about the transformative impact that these technologies will have on every discipline in which we offer a degree? These technologies will change everything. The way engineers design and optimize, the way construction projects are planned and managed, the way actuaries calculate risk, and the way nurses care for patients. Even the way we educate our students will change. In the not too distant future, the way we communicate, travel, live, and work will be different. And MSOE has the ability now to prepare students for that future. And that is a claim that few universities in this country can make. So yes, we can set the standard for preparing leaders to solve the diverse technical challenges of the 21st century. And all of that is happening because of Dwight and Diane Derricks. Our university could not have asked for 2 better people to partner with. So Dwight and Diane, on behalf of the entire MSOE family, I thank you. We are delighted to have a number of guests with us this morning. Some of them we'll be hearing from. I'd like to first, though, acknowledge the City Commissioner for Milwaukee and one of our great friends, Commissioner Rocky Marcoux, sitting over here. Rocky, thanks for being here. To those of us in Milwaukee, Joel Brennan is both a familiar face and someone who is deeply respected. For over a decade, he was CEO and president of Discovery World, where he was a champion for STEM education and workforce development. He served as vice president of development and government affairs for the Greater Milwaukee Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is now called Visit Milwaukee, on the Wisconsin Center District Board, and at about every level of government, including many community groups. Today, Joel is helping advance our great state as Secretary of the Department of Administration on Governor Evers' executive management team. We are truly honored to have him with us. Please join me in welcoming Secretary Joel Brennan.
Thank you, President Walz, and thank you all for being here today. I'm proud to be here on behalf of Governor Evers. He would be here himself were he not in the last few days of his first trade mission as governor, which takes him to Japan. So he's half a world away today, but I'm sure he'd be thrilled to be here because for those of you who know anything about the governor, he spent the last 11 years before he became governor as the head of the Department of Public Instruction, working on public education, and has committed his life to it, but he started his life as a science teacher. That was his first job, and I think he views his lens on the world through his eyes as an educator. And so being here today on his behalf is something that's truly exciting for me as a member of his cabinet, but also as a resident and a parent here in the city of Milwaukee. While the governor is a long way away, the work that will be, and he's doing things that reflect on what kind of how our world has become so global. The work that will be done by the students, faculty, and industry partners here at Derricks Hall is proof of the shrinking globe and MSOE's influence now and into the future on that world on behalf of our state, our region, and our nation. Because it is so well integrated into the city, the changes in the MSOE campus can seem subtle, but the reimagining of this campus in recent years has been remarkable for those of us who live and work here in Milwaukee. That reimagination coincides with and has helped drive the renaissance for the entire city, which will have a chance to share our progress on the world stage in 2020 with the Democratic National Convention. Thus, through that, national and international press are re-examining our community and our region. But industry has already taken notice and is flourishing here, especially in this corridor between Milwaukee and Chicago, in large part due to the growth of tech talent here in Milwaukee. MSOE, through its innovative methods, its clear and direct connection to industry partners throughout its history, and its entrepreneurial bent, has long been a leader in growing that talent and will continue to do so. And Dwight is one shining example of one MSOE graduate, albeit a Minnesota Vikings fan, I learned a few minutes ago, who has gone on to reshape his world while also remaining committed to giving back in critically important ways. And as a resident of this state and a resident of this community, Dwight, Diane, we truly appreciate that. Thank you. If Southeast Wisconsin is going to continue to grow, if in fact Wisconsin itself wants to grow, we must attract, educate, and retain students with world-class tech skills and talent. Derricks Hall, the supercomputer, the educational applications that will emerge from here, and the practical relationships with industry that exist and can only grow based on this marvel in AI will continue to elevate MSOE and the state of Wisconsin in the years to come. In my new role at the state, I'm exposed to information monthly about cybersecurity challenges that we face as a state, and many of these are truly breathtaking. The state of Wisconsin will benefit directly from the work that this campus will undertake and the new innovators that you will help produce to be on the front lines of that ongoing fight here in the state of Wisconsin and throughout the country. True greatness comes through authenticity. MSOE is a great reflection of the Milwaukee community because it is so much like its home city. The university is humble and capable, continually reimagining itself and its place in the world. You're not overly interested in tooting your own horn too often and simply focused on how to deliver groundbreaking programming and industry partnership to nearly 3,000 undergraduates and grad students. But Derricks Hall and what this means for Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the world are truly worth shouting from the rooftops about. And I'm proud to be here on behalf of Governor Evers and the generations of future Wisconsin residents who will benefit from this day. Thanks very much for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you, Secretary Brennan. As you may have heard me say before, there is without a doubt a vibrancy and an energy that is happening in Milwaukee. A feeling that great things are taking place and are in the works. And I'd like to think that we at MSOE are doing our part to contribute to that energy. But perhaps no one is more responsible than our next speaker, someone I know is also a big supporter of MSOE. Please join me in welcoming the mayor of our great city, Mayor Tom Barrett.
Thank you, John. Well, good morning. It is a fabulous day for MSOE, and it's a fabulous day for the city of Milwaukee. To Dwight and Diane, thank you very, very much. We couldn't be more grateful for your generosity. I also want to acknowledge Michael and Jackie Hurd-Barber, who are here, who have contributed for the plaza. Congratulations to you. Let's give them a round of applause as well. You've heard the word transformative, and I think that that word is very appropriate as to what we're experiencing today right here on this campus. I'll go a step further and say this is probably the most significant day in the history of this school. That's how important I think this building and this program is to MSOE. But it's also incredibly important to the city of Milwaukee. Because as we compete against other communities in the state of Wisconsin, in the Midwest, in the nation, in the world, we need to be able to state with authenticity and genuineness that we are at the cutting edge of education and technology. And as of today, we can say that. And we can say it with pride, and we can say it because we know it's true. This is how communities and schools reinvent themselves, by taking that step that many never dreamed was possible. For many years, when I first heard the word artificial intelligence, I thought people realized that I inflated my SAT scores. I soon found there was something deeper than that in that word. But you look at the students here, and when I see someone has gone to MSOE, or is attending MSOE, and I say this as the father of 4 children in their 20s, I'll tell you what I think. I think that person's getting a great education, and they're going to get a job. And they're going to get a job. And as a parent, if there's parents here of any of these students, you got to love that. You've got to love that. But they're not just jobs. They're jobs that are changing this community, and they are changing this world. And nothing is more exciting than that. So excuse me if I gush too much, but I really think this is a phenomenal day for our city and for this school. And I think we can all celebrate it. And one of the things that I get to do is I get to have some fun when great things happen. So I have a little proclamation here, if you'll bear with me for just a moment. This is from the Office of the Mayor, City of Milwaukee proclamation. Whereas the City of Milwaukee proudly joins the Milwaukee School of Engineering, family, friends, and community members in celebrating the outstanding achievements of Dwight and Diane Derricks on Friday, September 13th, 2019. And whereas Dwight attended MSOE and received his bachelor's degree in computer science and engineering in 1990 and an honorary degree in engineering degree in 2014. And whereas Dwight currently serves as the Senior Vice President of NVIDIA, a technology group that is responsible for creating the first GPU and a global leader in artificial intelligence, supercomputing, and visual computing. And whereas Dwight and Diane generously donated more than $34 million to the Dwight and Diane Derricks Computational Science Hall on MSOE's campus, which has placed Milwaukee on the map as a technology hub for the community and an educational leader in AI. And whereas Dwight and Diane continue to be instrumental figures in the community through their generosity and innovative ideas, which will bring advancement and resources to schools, corporations, and industries across Milwaukee for years to come. And whereas the City of Milwaukee commends Dwight and Diane for their many years of dedicated service and leadership, recognizes their outstanding contributions to the community, and wishes them many more years of success. Now, therefore, I, Tom Barrett, Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, do hereby proclaim today, Friday, September 13th, 2019, to be Dwight and Diane Derrick's Day throughout the entire City of Milwaukee. So.
Thank you, Mayor Barrett. And now it's time to formally open Derrick's Hall and to cut the ribbon. So Dwight and Diane, if you please, let's do it. So you just need a pair. Are they here? Oh, here we are. Oh. Whoa. How did we overlook these, huh?
All right, I think it's a two-person scissors here. Oh, yeah. There you go, all right? Okay. All right, here we go.
It's now my pleasure to introduce our alumnus, our regent, and our great friend, Dwight Derricks.
Wow, if I had those keys to this city 30 years ago, what I could have done. Sometimes you have to wait for things in life, I guess. But MSOE Regents, distinguished guests, faculty and staff, and of course the students up there on the top and out on the street. Welcome to the new MC. Milwaukee's had such a strong bond for those that spend time here. So many great things happen here. Milwaukee continues to reinvent itself, and you can see it with all the cranes in the skyline. And MSOE is no different. Now, I grew up in Minnesota. I came to MSOE in 1986 after a long college search with my father. I graduated in 1990, and as I like to tell my friends, it was probably a 6-year program. I finished it in 4. I enjoyed my time here tremendously, and since then I've worked in Texas and mostly in California. First thing somebody asks when I mention that I know of Milwaukee, I went to university there, typically goes like, oh, Milwaukee, did you go to Marquette? I'm like, no, real engineering, focused, right? And sometimes somebody might even go, university, is that University of Milwaukee? And I'm like, oh, no, hardcore engineering, right? And then they always go, MSOE. I'm like, yes. So, anyways, after all the improvements today, I think MSOE should always be everyone's first guess. We aren't the biggest universities, but as Dan mentioned earlier, we have the highest starting salary in all of Wisconsin. We are on the top national list of return on investments for spending your education money to get a job afterwards. Being small has its advantages. We're nimble. We have a close collaboration across all engineering disciplines. We don't have large political fights across the mechanical engineering and the electrical engineering because we're small and nimble. And I think you'll see after today why moving fast is of the essence. But as an aside, let me tell you about a story recently of somebody who I met from Milwaukee, who I met and instantaneously guessed. I told him I went to University of Milwaukee. He said, oh, I went to university in Milwaukee. And he guessed right away that I went to MSOE. One of Diane and I's biggest enjoyment outside of work over the last 9 years is going to the Golden State Warriors games. We bought tickets 9 years ago. They're the worst team in the league. It got better, but I think you guys have experience in that on your own here. And so when we bought them, things weren't so good, but they had a young rookie, Steph Curry, And things just kept getting better and better, and we enjoyed going to games and traveling around, seeing them in various places. And last year I was at a Warriors charity poker game, and I was randomly seated next to one of the truest Warriors on the team, Kayvon Looney. And we introduced ourselves, and I asked him where he's from, and his eyes lit up, and he goes, "I'm from Milwaukee." And my eyes lit up, I'm like, "I went to university there." And right away he said, "MSOE?" I'm like, "Yes." How did you know? Right? And he told me about all the time that he spent playing weekend basketball tournaments in the Kern Center, which wasn't here when I went here, but it's a great basketball facility. And on top of that, he spends a lot of time in Milwaukee. I asked him, how do you get back to Milwaukee often? He said he spends a lot of time here at this youth program, the Running Rebels, that he was a part of when he was a child. And so I talked about artificial intelligence at NVIDIA, how it could do all kinds of things for STEM studying with the students, and how it could do things with sports analytics, helping the Warriors someday. So we're basically, the night went on, and as Kayvon was about to leave, he said, "Hey, and then I told him, in Milwaukee, I have a little program myself going on for charity, and we're working on this little building called Dierks Hall, right? And it's going to help accelerate the youth and their job factors and get them into the AI field." And he was very interested because he said, "I'm interested in all youth programs in Milwaukee." And he said, "Hey, invite me to that grand opening. I'll come if I can." And so, I said, "Really? Don't you have spring training or back to school and all these things?" And he's like, "I'll make it. If we re-sign with the Warriors, I already know the drills. I know the plays. I can probably get back off on a Friday." And so, so if you saw him in the finals, he helped us get through Portland. He had 14 rebounds against Portland, nailed it. Got to Toronto. We had hotel rooms booked in Milwaukee. We were supposed to come here to see it. Something didn't happen, Michael. And so we went to Toronto. Diane was okay with that. Her family's all from Toronto, so we got to go visit her family. We're there in the game, and unfortunately, Kayvon fell down, and we thought something bad was happening, but he just kept coming back to the huddle, and he went like, and it was like, "Milwaukee." Right? That's Milwaukee. And he kept playing through the game, and then they announced that his collarbone or some contusion was there, and he was out for the finals. But next day, he came back and said he was playing for the rest of the finals. It couldn't get any worse. And so that's Milwaukee. So much to my surprise, who shows up today but Kayvon Looney, and a truest Milwaukee Warrior. Yeah. I think you're the tallest person here. Eckerd's trying to view the screen from the back, but it's kind of funny. It made me laugh. And so, thank you. And so, with MSOE's history, as we talked about today, we've always had a strong partnership with industry. This building, of course, is for the students, but it's also for all the local industries. Allen Bradley, Johnson Controls, Harley-Davidson, GE Healthcare, Generac, and many more that all rely on MSOE to staff their innovations and engineering. MSOE has a strong reach across the entire Midwest, and we are, in general, a maker of great engineers, among other things. Our focus has always been application-oriented curriculum. We have lots of labs. This building has like 15,000 square feet of classrooms, roughly, and right around 17,000 square foot of laboratories. We don't have PhDs. We have no research, small class sizes, and professors that teach because there's no TAs to do the work for them. Hardcore, hands-on engineering. If you talked about what the mayor was saying, in 1903, there was this huge demand in Milwaukee for electrical, mechanical, and radio fields, causing this big boom for the need for educated engineers. And Oscar Wehrweth founded MSOE to solve those real-world problems of industry. There wasn't enough engineers, and he took a loan out from industry and started this school training young students on what they needed to know to fill the gap. Soon he had a full-fledged university cranking out for engineers across multiple disciplines, and this model worked well for the last 120 years. Excuse me. Flash forward, separately, in 2005, NVIDIA invented CUDA, and it was used to dramatically speed up computational science in big ways through parallel computing. This put GPUs in the data center and transformed NVIDIA from a graphics company to a computing company. Then in 2012, something magical happened. A grad student at the University of Toronto utilized our CUDA and our computational science to accelerate artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has been around for 50 years. I took a course here when I went here in the 80s. We solved a simple chess routine. It wasn't all that great. But utilizing the deep processing of the GPU, this student basically solved a problem with image processing that hadn't been solved before, and it created this big boom in AI. All the first-level companies that had tons of computer scientists, including the self-driving car companies, internet service providers, kicked off this AI boom, and NVIDIA was right there with it. And in the end, AI is going to generate this next boom moment, and it's going to really help kick off these same conditions that happened at MSOE back in 1903. AI will generate more jobs over the next 50 years, probably 100, but let's just go with 50 first, over any other single technology on the planet. Companies will be transformed if they embrace it, or they'll probably be disrupted and replaced if they ignore it. The boom of 2012 is not that far removed, but since MSOE had the fortunate position to start relatively early, we are way ahead. Thanks to forward-looking university officials and regents like me, we started talking about opportunities right around 2015, and we came up with our finalizer plans in 2017. We just announced this program October, coming up on 1 month, 2 years, 1 month from now. And 2 short years later, we're here to celebrate a physical space, the building, the home of our computer science program. We can't go slow. We're up against nations that are spending billions of dollars of AI education and infrastructure, and we're up against universities with large access to capital that don't always spend it well. But we're nimble, we're fast, we're efficient, we're MSOE, and we're going to make sure that the Milwaukee region is ready to transform to these great businesses of the world of AI. To fully take advantage of AI, we need to build a computer science program again. Since we're going down that path and we're building it from scratch, we wanted to heavily lean into AI with a curriculum that was forward-thinking on deep learning, computer vision, computer security, data analytics, cloud-based software deployments. And if I was choosing a university program to go to, this is the degree that I would have chosen, and it's of course the university that I would choose again. We launched this degree last year and celebrated the ribbon cutting of our first student at the official groundbreaking in May of 2018. That student is now a sophomore, along with his class of 52 classmates with very bright futures. Study hard, bidding war, right? Bidding war. So we have a new class of 75 students that started class on Monday. They joined the CS program this week. This makes the CS program the second largest incoming class at MSOE, and I think we're going to get a whole lot bigger. We knew the physical home of the CS program would not be cheap, and MSOE didn't disappoint. I told... It cost. I told Diane I had a number in my head, and I was pretty sure that MSOE would be back with, but I was off by about 50%. It didn't matter. The program in the building had to be done. Scott Ramlow and his fabulous architecture firm of Uline Wilson Ramlow & Stein set off to create some models for this building. We wanted it to be modern, tons of space for collaboration, and they came back with a masterpiece, as always, knowing MSOE so well. Scott's personal thought and care to providing a solution for the needs of the program was clear. We had lots of space for classes, but even more for labs. We had lots of collaboration rooms, couches that could fit me and my largest classmates. John, let's go check it out afterwards. Sitting right outside the professors' offices. All of these were unheard of in our day, with a tiny little cafe sitting next to 3 vending machines and a hot dog roller wheel 7-Eleven style called the Science Lounge. You guys don't even know. This building has some great features. MSOE's first auditorium with sloped seating. With the auditorium we have, it's all on the same level, like this. It's, I don't know how we call that an auditorium, but it's going to be great. It's got this large atrium that we're here in today, which will just normally have couches out here and collaborative space for the students, along with a plaza that extends to the green space, and ultimately to the new Vietz Tower when it's built next year. We wanted this to be a computer science building for and built with computer science in mind, and in quite a few areas, we didn't disappoint. We had to alter some options along the way to make it perfect. First, the size of this building. The original size that Scott came back with was 64,000 square feet, and they still call it a 64,000 square feet today, but it's actually not the final square footage of this building. Scott's team had this idea for his floating staircase that would bring light from the athletic field into the building and permeate through this atrium and all through the floors. However, this floating staircase was consuming a lot of the hallway space and a lot of the class space. And so he had this idea, what if we took that floating staircase and pushed it out onto the sidewalk of Milwaukee Street? It would cost more. It would give us more space for hallways, classrooms, and give it a cool look. I think Scott thought I was focused on the cost when he was telling me about it. But in the end, it came down to how much square footage we would add with this new staircase. We're already at 64,000 square feet. I don't think Scott knew this at the time, but the answer in the square footage, when he told me the answer in the square footage with the additional staircase, if we could move it out to the sidewalk, was going to be just over 65,530. I said approved. Right, and so for those of you who don't know, 65,536 is 2 to the 16th. It's a binary number. It's a true computer 64K. And so the computer science building being 64K, which we really got to change the marketing on the literature, but it's okay. It's okay. And the only problem, he said, he goes, hold on, we don't know if we can get a setback from the city to put that staircase right out there on the sidewalk. But he felt like he could make it happen. I didn't know what that meant, but I felt like he knew people. Shortly thereafter, it was approved. And standing on top of those staircases, looking down Milwaukee Street, the view is breathtaking and makes you think she was right there on the street. Thanks, Mayor. Okay, Vaughn, if you need a floating staircase at that gym you're building, talk to the mayor. Right? It's pretty amazing. So as John mentioned, we have a corporate partnership center that's going to help us build partnerships with local industries and help transform the way they use AI and working with students, professors, and our computing center to help move them to the modern world of AI before someone moves them for them. The color schemes of this building are very much heavily used of the primary colors. In fact, if you look into MSOE from the dormitories, you'll notice that the first floor is red, the second floor is green, and the third floor is blue, RGB, right? And so I know this well because it's staring at the webcam as we built this thing. In the afternoon when the sun shifted, you could really get a hold of that RGB color scheme. It looked great. Finally, a modern computer science building needs a supercomputer. The supercomputer has to be big, powerful, and upgradable. I kept impressing on that in all the early meetings, and the first design came back and had this little closet called data center back in the middle of the building. I was like, we got an atrium. Can't we put the data center right there on the atrium so we can all view it and worship it? And so Scott came back with another design, and I don't know if he had figured this out already, but he showed the design, he moved it right there to the atrium, it's all lit up, it looks great. And I said, hey, how much would be the square footage of the data center now? Because it looks bigger, but I didn't want to do my calculations on the ruler. He goes, that would be just over 1,024 square feet. Approved, again, that's a binary number, 2 to the 10th. So because the building design had a committee of a cross-section of MSOE, professors, executives, etc., I love the story of the auditorium. They had me with a large auditorium with sloped seating. I was in. But the CS professors got together and they actually counted the number of chairs that was in the design, and they told me they found out it was going to be a 252-seat auditorium. And they told me how they went back to the committee and they said, no. We're going to find a way, us CS professors, how to make this a 256-seat auditorium. I was so impressed and happy. I finally got to see the seats installed about 3 weeks ago, and I figured out how they did it. Maybe 252 was the right call. But personally, Kayvon, don't choose those other 4 seats. It's not for you, right? And so, but personally, I love those 4 extra chairs, and we gladly call it a feature. So we have the degree, we have the building. What came next was a supercomputer. Wisconsin's no stranger to supercomputers. Back in the 80s when I went to school here, we had Cray and Chippewa Falls. We had supercomputing systems later in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And we knew that MSOE needed a powerful AI supercomputer focused on AI tensor core flops, a computer that could scale out for widespread computer use, student use, and scale up for large training models delivered with corporate partnership centers, professors' research, and senior design projects. We worked with NVIDIA and we helped create a supercomputer that meets both of those needs. We have much room in that data center for expansion, and we'll do so as we continue to grow. Design for the MSOE supercomputer needed to have 2 key ingredients: fast parallel computing along with killer networking and storage. We specified NVIDIA GPUs and Mellanox for networking and storage, as both of these are the gold standards for the best supercomputers in the world. All supercomputers needed a name. I saw this PBS documentary on the programmers of one of the first supercomputers, the ENIAC, called The Secret Rosies of World War II. I think we're going to queue up a video introducing our new supercomputer.
Hello, I'm Rosie. MSOE's GPU-powered supercomputer. My name was inspired by women who were the first modern computer coders and programmers in the US. They calculated aerodynamic trajectories by hand, laying the groundwork for future programmers and software engineers. Referred to as Rosies, they programmed computers before the invention of programming languages. Brought to life and powered by NVIDIA, I am here to help MSOE students, faculty, and corporate partners take on the world's most complex problems, to experiment faster, train larger models, arrive at insights in seconds versus days. Together, we can solve problems that span the full gamut of industries and services, including the ability to make the world smarter, safer, healthier, more welcoming, better connected, and bring virtual reality and gaming to life. Every challenge piques students' curiosity, accelerates human enterprise, and magnifies our creativity. Let's solve these challenges together. What problem would you like to solve today? Combining my light-speed computing power with your human expertise, we will learn to grow and flourish.
So thank you, Rosie. Rosie's great, and we're so glad to get her off the ground. I told Dr. Waltz and Jeff Snow heads up our donor relations team here, that the cost for continuously upgrading Rosie would be ongoing. NVIDIA spends billions of dollars in R&D each and every year, making our current products obsolete in a few more. And we would want new computing each and every year to be expanded upon. So Jeff set out to have a building endowment to basically cover the cost of anything that goes wrong with this building sometime, or buying future computer equipment. And Jeff put many namespaces for sale in this building to create the building endowment, and he sold just over $4.5 million of naming rights within this building to be used on whatever this building or the Rosie needs in the future. He priced this atrium a little high, I thought, at $2.5 million, but then he told me it was simply priced to be sold after somebody who experiences it in person. So if your company or yourself wants your name on this atrium for $2.5 million, it's yours. It's a one of a kind. Thank you, Jeff. So we now have a degree, we have a building, we have a supercomputer. But I would be remiss to thank a few folks who helped me get here along the way. There's a lot of cornerstones to this building, as it's become quite personal. And I wouldn't be here had these cornerstones not been cemented in me. Starting with my wife, Diane. I think one night around 2015 or so, I explained what I wanted to do, and she said, let's do it. As things got a little pricier, I asked her again if she's still on board, and she said, let's do it. She only had one request. She knew there'd be an event like this, and she said, you do the speech. Call me the silent partner. Done. But we're both so proud of what we rolled out today, and we thank her for her commitment in the world of, as this commitment in the world of Milwaukee that she didn't really experience directly other than visiting with me. I also want to thank Diane's immediate family, all of whom came down from Toronto for this big event. Her father passed away recently in February, and of course we'll miss him, but I think if he was here today, he would be one of the most proud. One of his most successful traits in life was helping pave the way for family and friends who immigrated from British Guyana and China to Canada, and helped them get jobs, homes, and on with their lives, much in the way that we hope Dierks Hall will do for the students that come through here over the years to come. I want to thank my family, both my sisters and their families that are here today. So excited to be a part of this. Our parents passed away, both of our parents passed away in 2006. My dad taught me a lot along the way, and he was always focused on hard work, gamifying or competing in everything he does, and finding in secret advantages that made him perform better. It was his constant focus. He loved competing, he loved winning, but more importantly, he enjoyed talking about his winning a little bit more. Not about bragging, but it was more about highlighting each and every one of his moves that I took as learning moments. Most importantly, he always told me there's no excuse to show up without being the hardest working guy in the room. If he is here today, I know he'd be so proud to take a picture with himself underneath the Dierks Hall logo, standing under there so he could call it his own building. I would tell him, no, that's Grandpa's side. But yeah, you get a lot for their money here. So my mom also loved anything to do with games. She didn't care about winning or losing, but simply having fun playing the game. I think my mom and dad gave me the great intersection of working hard, competing to win, and having fun along the way. Now, my dad would be busy with those Derek's pictures, but my mom would be up there having her pictures next to the computer because, ironically, her name was also Rosie. In addition to our immediate families, all of my living aunts and uncles are here today, along with every cousin that happens to be within 300 miles of Milwaukee. No one lives in Milwaukee, but they all made the trek down from Minnesota. Many are going to go up and watch Minnesota, the Vikings, kill the Packers. Right? We can root for different teams. It's okay. It's okay. And so, additionally, one of my favorite high school teachers is here today. In high school, I did quite well. I got mostly A's while working 35 hours a week. I did a lot of my homework finishing around 1 or 2 in the morning, and I think that prepped me well for university life. This teacher, Ron Gray, is here, and he taught me both calculus and my first computer programming course. He was about my age today when he taught us 33 years ago. I really enjoyed his style, and I'd like to give him a hard time about losing his hair, much to his chagrin. He kept telling me, let's see who's got more hair in 30 years. We compared last night, and I think I still win. Now, if we left it there, it'd be a great story of respect and playful admiration. But actually, my biggest learning moment with Mr. Gray was in 1986, when the magical world of Van Halen replaced David Lee Roth with Sammy Hagar. It shook up the music world. A concert tour was booked, and they were coming to St. Paul, Minnesota on a Thursday night. The only problem was we'd get home around 1 in the morning, and Ron Gray had scheduled a calculus test for Friday. I really wanted to be prepared for that, but I really wanted to go to the concert. So I came up with a plan. This was before Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I think they copied me. But the plan was we'd all take Friday off. I hadn't missed a day of school all year, and we could take the test on Monday after preparing on the weekend. Concert came. It was awesome. I got the T-shirt. I woke up Friday morning. I had a little fever. My mom said stay home, and around 8:15, she went off to work. The phone was ringing. Now, our phone back then was in the kitchen. We only had one in the house. I know. The phone kept ringing and ringing because I was all the way in my bedroom. I thought, something wrong. Something must be wrong. So I got out to the kitchen. I answered the phone. I said, hello? And this guy had this voice on the other end because we didn't have caller ID back then. I know. Right? No answering machine, so it just could ring. And the voice on the other end says, you do not take days off from learning. Excuse me, who's this? He's like, this is Mr. Gray. He had already given out the test to the students in the classroom and went down to the principal's office to call me and said, you don't take days off from learning. And I'm going, huh. So I started coughing a little bit. I guess somebody didn't convince their parents they were really sick or really wanted to be the first one with that T-shirt in school, and they spilled the beans. So Mr. Gray told me I had 15 minutes to get to town. But I really hadn't prepared for the test because I knew I was going to take it on Monday, right? And so I said, Mr. Gray, I'm really sick. I really got to stay home. And so the following Monday, I went in and said, okay, I'm ready for my makeup test. Here's my sick note. And he kept throwing my sick note in the garbage. I kept pulling it out, putting it on his desk, and told him I was sick. He finally looked at me and said, what the heck are you doing? Learning is your future. You need to pay attention, not be distracted. You don't take days off from learning. I told him I got it. He let me take the test, and I got my A, and we moved on. But he's here today, and so I'm really thankful that Ron's here. So I went to university and met a great group of classmates. Many of them are here today, and many of them have sponsored spaces in this building. Both mean so much. It's so great to connect with them, and so great to see their space and take a picture in their study areas, student offices, or in classrooms. One of all of our favorite teachers who taught us so much in our program, included my senior design project, was named Professor Matt Troy. Matt loved pushing hard work onto the students and just relished consuming all of your time available to get through his courses. He didn't care if you had other classes. For those of us who made it through, it felt very rewarding. I'm almost positive that 100% of my classmates here today feel that Matt Troy is probably their favorite professor, if not definitely top 2. He was my senior design project leader, and then I worked with him my junior summer year on a project at Allen Bradley that lasted through all of my senior year. And watching his work ethic up close he practiced what he preached. And he taught us to learn how to plan out large-scale projects and design them before executing. I think the first 2 months of our internship was all spent planning out what we were going to do for this big project at Allen Bradley. I said, aren't we going to worry about the internship? He goes, they're going to hire us for the year. This is a big project. Don't worry. And he was right, and we planned it out. It worked perfectly. Late in life, when I finally joined LinkedIn, we reconnected with Matt Troy, and he told me he had followed my career very closely. He was a huge fan of NVIDIA, and finally he told me that the most fulfilling aspect of being a professor is the pride we have in the accomplishment of our graduates. Now, Matt passed away about 5 years ago or so, and we all miss him deeply. I met his family last night. I'd reached out to his son on LinkedIn, and he brought Matt's parents and family here today, and we've named a study area after Matt on the second floor because we knew he'd want to be somewhat close to the supercomputer. Matt wouldn't be in the study area, but he'd know the students would be. He'd be stuck in the computer all day, geeking out like Matt would. And that quote is on the wall. So, at any rate, if this building had a foundational cornerstone, it would have Matt Troy's name written all over it. Thank you, family of Troy. So after MSOE, I worked for a large company, Compaq, and ultimately my boss was moving to California to do a startup company in the magical land of Silicon Valley. I decided I must go there and join him. And a few years later, frustrated with the direction of that startup, I looked for my next opportunity. I had a friend who had joined NVIDIA a few months earlier, and he wanted to bring me over to NVIDIA for an interview with Jensen Huang, their founder and CEO, to be the third guy in this software project. Having just come from a poorly run startup, I went in with lots of questions, and Jensen had plenty of his own. When we were finished with our discussion, I had no idea what his expectation was of me other than thinking our conversation was pretty good. I asked my friend Dave actually asked me, he said, "What did you tell him in there?" I said, "Why? Why do you ask?" He goes, "Well, Jensen came back and said, after I met Dwight, if I sent you and the other two guys on software over to Vietnam, you two are coming home in body bags, but Dwight's got you on his back." Right then, I knew Jensen was a great judge of character. I knew I needed to work at NVIDIA, and I became employee number 22. I joined NVIDIA when I was 26, youngest employee in the company at the time. Of course, Jensen was just 30. I think the company was filled with confident people who didn't know of the things we weren't supposed to do. We believed we could design anything, and we were focused on solving hard problems. Everybody had the work ethic of my father. Everybody didn't take days off from learning, and everybody knew how to learn, plan large-scale programs as a requirement. But Jensen added really the missing ingredient, which was to measure our performance against the speed of light. What was the maximum speed of light that you could do something at? Knowing that you can't hit it, because speed of light's pretty fast. But if you knew to measure against the maximum as opposed to anything else, anything else was just arbitrary. We failed a lot, but as long as you iterated on your failures, it became great, and it was kind of the NVIDIA culture. It was contagious. We worked from morning till sundown. Usually got to see Chris go home at around 1 in the morning. Many of our guys poured blood, sweat, and tears building NVIDIA, and many of them are here today, including our two founders, Jensen and Chris Malachowski. Have many colleagues, friends from work at NVIDIA who want to share today and thank them for the journey from California. I turned 52 in 2 months, and will have been at NVIDIA for 26 years next spring. Meeting NVIDIA will be more than half my life. To that honor, I've named the auditorium the NVIDIA Auditorium, as it marks the best thing I've ever done in my career. Wrapping up, this building is amazing. We had to thank the construction crew from Mortenson. Many of them are MSOE alumni, and they were so thoughtful every time we came in and asked to see the progress. Danny, Alice, Rob, Blake, and Blake on MSOE side, thank you. It was a great 2 years. Blake heads up our architectural engineering and the construction management department chair, and he acted as the owner's rep, and he treated, number one, this building with his personal baby, but number two, he went to great care to make sure I could see everything on the webcam. He would walk in front of the webcam and wave. It wasn't that clear, but I told him I saw him every time. Finally, I need to thank the executive team at MSOE. John Walls, Jeff Snow, and your entire management team, you guys have been great. You latched on to AI immediately upon arriving at MSOE, and you said, let's go. Together, we made it happen. Thank you. I'm probably 20 minutes over time. I told him it'd be okay. But Saj has a great marketing plan for today. And so you saw the video. Now the question is, MSOE Regents, distinguished guests, faculty, and staff, are you ready? Yeah. This is the important part. MSOE students, the innovators, leaders, and problem solvers in the futures of tomorrow. Are you ready? I knew you guys would be louder. Thanks, Sasha. All right, so with that, we're going to kick off the Rosie. We're going to launch her. And Saj, let's make it happen. That's why I turn on my computer every day. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight, and thank you, Diane, and I promise you that we will take good care of this place. That concludes our ribbon-cutting event for this morning. For those of you who were registered to attend the NVIDIA, or the keynote lecture in the NVIDIA auditorium, that will be given by NVIDIA President and CEO Jensen Huang. I ask that you at some point move into the auditorium. It will start at 11 o'clock. It can also be watched on the video screens that are here in the atrium. There's one out on the plaza, and there's actually one out on Milwaukee Street as well. So thank you all for coming, and have a great day. Thank you.